Before this story begins, let the night become a little quieter around you. Let the day slowly move behind you. Let everything that felt important a few hours ago become softer, farther away, and easier to release. There is nowhere you need to go now. You can simply imagine a dark sky above the earth, warm air near the sea, the quiet sound of waves, and the first stars appearing one by one over the water. Far beyond the horizon, the last light of day has faded. The sky has turned deep blue, almost black. Beneath it, the sea lies calm and still, like a great dark mirror holding the reflection of the ancient night. And there, among the stars, there is a small constellation. It is not as large as Orion, not as majestic as Leo, not as mysterious as Draco, but it has a softness all its own. Its name is Delphinus, the Dolphin. Delphinus is one of those constellations that is easy to miss if you look at the sky too quickly. It is small, delicate, almost shy, but if you find it near the bright summer stars, it opens like a little sign above the dark water. A few stars form a small diamond shape, like the body of a dolphin, and beside it a short line stretches out like a tail. And long ago, people who watched this part of the sky saw a creature of the sea, a dolphin leaping from the water of stars. In Greek myth, the dolphin was more than an animal of the sea. It was a friend of sailors, a companion of the gods, a creature that appeared when the path felt lonely. Dolphins swim beside ships. They seem to know the way through the waves. They rise from the deep and disappear again, leaving only the movement of water and a quiet sense of wonder behind them. So perhaps it is not surprising that people once saw a dolphin in the sky as well, far above the earth, where the Milky Way looks like a pale river of light, where the stars become an ancient sea. One of the most beautiful legends about Delphinus is connected with Poseidon, the god of the sea. Long ago, when the world was still young in the imagination of people, the sea felt alive. It could be gentle and calm. It could be deep and unknowable. Within it lived nymphs, gods' seahorses, shining palaces, and voices that seemed to move through the sound of the waves. Poseidon ruled over that world. His palace stood far beneath the waves. There, light passed through the water in soft green and blue rays. Shadows of fish moved over the walls. Sea plants drifted slowly. Shells and pearls glowed in the quiet. But even the god of the sea once felt not power, but waiting. He saw Amphitrite. Amphitrite was a sea nymph, a daughter of the ocean, calm and beautiful like clear water beneath the morning sun. She was not loud. She was not harsh. She carried the stillness of the deep sea, the movement of waves, and the clear light of the underwater world. Poseidon wished for Amphitrite to become his queen, but Amphitrite was frightened by such a fate. Not because she was weak, but because the sea, even for those born within it, can sometimes feel too vast, so she went far away. Some stories say she hid at the edge of the world, near the place where Atlas held up the sky, where the waves grew colder and darker. Poseidon searched for her. He could have commanded. He could have raised a storm. He could have sent a thunderous call across every sea. But in this legend, the important thing was not a loud voice. It was a gentle messenger. A dolphin was sent to Amphitrite. It swam through the great waters calmly and patiently. It carried no threat. It brought no fear. It was a creature of the sea, and it knew how to come close with care. The Dolphin found Amphitrite far from the noisy world. Imagine that moment, a dark sea, stars above the water, silence at the edge of the earth, Amphitrite looking out over the waves, and from the depth the Dolphin appears. The Dolphin does not disturb the quiet. It simply stays near her, and slowly its presence becomes a kind of comfort. It speaks to her, not of Poseidon's power, but of the sea as a home, of the palace beneath the waves, of the calm deep, of a life where she could stand beside the god of the sea and still remain herself. The Dolphin does not speak like humans do. It speaks through trust, through slow movement, through a gentle gaze, through the silence of a creature that does not rush. And Amphitrite agrees to return. She becomes the queen of the sea. And Poseidon, grateful for the Dolphin's wisdom and gentleness, places it among the stars. That is how Delphinus came to the sky, not as a sign of battle, not as a memory of pain, but as the image of a peaceful messenger, a creature that was able to do what force could not. It became a constellation of trust, a constellation of quiet persuasion, a constellation that reminds us that sometimes the gentlest path is the strongest one. But this is not the only story of the heavenly dolphin. There is another ancient legend. It is quieter and shorter, but in it too you can hear the sea. It is the story of Arion, a singer whose voice, according to legend, was so beautiful that even the depths of the ocean answered his song. One night Arion was traveling home across the sea. Around him were the ship, the dark water, and a sky filled with stars. The night was calm, but the journey felt lonely, and so Arion took up his lyre. He stood beneath the enormous sky and began to play. Imagine the music softly, not like a loud performance, but like a melody rising over the water, mixing with the wind and drifting far into the dark. The stars listened, the sea listened, and somewhere in the deep, dolphins appeared. They heard the music. One of them swam closer. When the song ended, Arion found himself in the sea, and the dolphin lifted him onto its back, not like a hero in battle, not like a miracle of thunder and lightning, but like a quiet rescue. The dolphin carried him across the dark water, past the waves, past the reflections of the stars, through the long night, and at last it brought him safely to the shore. This story too became part of the ancient image of the dolphin, a friend of the sea who appears when someone is alone before the vastness of the world. If the first legend speaks of trust, the second speaks of music, of beauty that can be heard even when it seems no one is listening, of help that may appear in the darkness, not loudly, not frighteningly, but quietly, gently, and alive. When ancient people looked at the little constellation of Delphinus, they could remember both stories. The dolphin who helped Amphitrite return to the sea, and the dolphin who carried Arion after his song. The two legends are different, but they share the same feeling. The dolphin appears between fear and peace, between loneliness and home, between dark water and a safe shore. It does not break the night, it moves through it, and perhaps that is why Delphinus feels so right for a story before sleep. It does not ask us to fight the darkness. It simply reminds us that something gentle can move within it. In the real night sky, Delphinus is very modest. It is a small group of stars near the summer constellations. Not far away shines Altair, in the constellation Aquila. Nearby, in the larger sky, you can find Pegasus, Aquarius, and Cygnus. This part of the heavens is filled with old stories, and Delphinus swims among them almost unnoticed. But maybe that is why it is so beautiful. It does not demand attention. It simply waits for the eye to soften. It waits for the breath to slow. It waits for a person to stop searching only for the brightest stars and begin to notice the smaller shapes hidden in the dark. Delphinus has stars with unusual names. Swallosin, Rotanev. They sound mysterious, almost like words from a dream. These names appeared much later than the old Greek myths, but they add their own quiet strangeness to the constellation. Delphinus is small, but inside it there is the sea, there is music, there is a way home, and there is help that comes not with noise, but with silence. Now imagine a shoreline at night. The warm sand has cooled after the long day. The water is dark and calm. Small waves come to the shore and return again, as if the earth itself were breathing slowly. Somewhere far away the wind moves softly. Above the sea the stars begin to rise. First the brightest ones, then more and more. And among them, high in the dark sky, the little dolphin appears. It seems to leap from the water of stars. Its body is only a few points of light. Its tail is a short line in the night. It does not hurry. It does not disappear. It simply swims among the stars. You can imagine that beneath it, cities and islands are sleeping. Ships are resting in quiet harbors. Forests, mountains, and roads are covered in darkness. And above them all, the little heavenly dolphin continues its path. It carries the memory of Arion's song, a soft voice rising over dark water. It carries Poseidon's gratitude, the quiet wisdom of a messenger who helped not through force, but through kindness. And it carries something else, something very simple, the feeling that even when the night seems wide, there may be a guide within it. Even when the sea seems deep, there may still be movement toward the shore. Even when thoughts feel heavy, they may become lighter if we listen to them gently. Before sleep, this story does not ask us to be strong. It does not ask us to fight the waves. It offers something different: to swim more slowly, to breathe more deeply, to trust that the night knows its way, as the dolphin knows the water, as the stars know their places, as the sea knows when to come to the shore and when to move away again. Let everything become quieter now. Imagine that you are lying beside a calm sea. Above you is the dark sky. Before you is the water. Somewhere near the horizon, the small constellation, Delphinus, is shining. The waves come and go, like the slow breathing of the earth. The dolphin swims among the stars. It does not hurry. It does not call loudly. It simply remains there in the sky, a small sign of kindness, music, and returning home. Let this night be soft. Let your thoughts grow lighter. Let the day dissolve into the dark water. The stars remain. The sea remains. And Delphinus continues to swim quietly above the earth, while you drift deeper and deeper into sleep.